In a tranquil village surrounded by rolling hills and lush forests, the Buddha often shared profound wisdom with those who sought his guidance. His stories, simple yet deep, carried lessons that resonated with every soul. One day, a troubled man came to the Buddha, torn between anger and the desire for peace. What unfolded became a tale cherished by generations, illuminating the true meaning of forgiveness. Stay with this story till the end to uncover its core essence and find the powerful moral that lies within. If inspiring stories like this resonate with you, make sure to subscribe, share, and like for more timeless lessons and insights. John was a farmer known for his tireless work and a temper as fiery as the sun. One day, a traveler passing through the village trampled over his fields, destroying days of hard work. John confronted the traveler with rage, demanding an apology. But the traveler, instead of remorse, dismissed John's anger and walked away. Humiliated and fuming, John carried the grudge like a heavy stone in his heart. Days turned into weeks, and the resentment consumed him. He felt justified in his anger, but it also drained his joy. Hearing of the Buddha's wisdom, John decided to seek his guidance. He found the Buddha seated under a large banyan tree, his presence calm and inviting. John bowed and shared his tale of betrayal and anger, asking, "Why should I forgive someone who doesn't deserve it? Won't forgiving him mean that what he did was acceptable?" The Buddha smiled and said, "Before I answer, let me tell you a story. Imagine a man carrying a jar of poison. He knows the poison is harmful, yet he keeps it close, believing it will harm his enemies. What do you think happens to this man?" John frowned. The poison would harm him, not his enemies. The Buddha nodded. Exactly. Anger and resentment are like that poison. They corrode the one who carries them, not the one they are aimed at. Forgiveness is the act of letting go of that poison, not for others, but for yourself. John looked confused. But isn't forgiveness the same as saying what he did was right? The Buddha shook his head. No, John. Forgiveness is not condoning or excusing wrong actions. It does not mean you forget or approve of what happened. Forgiveness means you release the burden of anger and allow yourself to heal. It's a gift you give to yourself. The Buddha then stood and said, "Come with me." They walked to a nearby riverbank. The Buddha handed John a cup and asked him to fill it with water from the river. When the cup was full, the Buddha said, "Now pour this water back into the river." John did as he was told. The Buddha smiled. Notice how the river remains unchanged, even after you return the water to it. Forgiveness is like that. When you forgive, you release the burden of anger, allowing it to flow away. It doesn't undo the past, but it frees your heart. John nodded, beginning to understand. But he asked, "How do I forgive when the anger feels so strong?" The Buddha sat down on the riverbank and said, "Forgiveness is a journey, not an instant decision. Let me share practical steps with you. 1. Acknowledge your pain. First, recognize the hurt and anger you feel. Don't suppress it. Understanding your emotions is the first step toward letting them go. 2. Separate the action from the person. Remember, a person's actions do not define their entire being. Recognize the wrongdoing without labeling the person entirely by that action. 3. Find compassion. Try to see the situation from their perspective. Perhaps they acted out of ignorance or pain. Understanding their motives doesn't excuse their behavior, but it can soften your anger. 4. Decide to let go. Forgiveness is a choice. You may not feel ready, but with each day, remind yourself that holding on to anger only harms you. 5. Practice gratitude and reflection. Focus on the good in your life. Reflect on how forgiveness can free you and bring peace. John sat quietly, letting the words sink in. Finally, he said, "I think I understand. Forgiveness is not about them. It's about me. It's about freeing myself from the weight of anger." The Buddha smiled. Exactly, John. Forgiveness is not a weakness. It's a strength. It takes courage to let go of pain and choose peace. From that day on, John practiced the path of forgiveness. It wasn't easy, but with time, he learned to let go of his resentment and find peace in his heart. Moral of the story: forgiveness is not about condoning or excusing the wrongs done to us. It is about releasing the burden of anger and resentment for our own well-being. By forgiving, we free ourselves from the chains of bitterness and open the door to healing and peace. Remember, forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, share, and like for more inspiring tales and timeless wisdom.